Whew. Surprisingly, it feels good to get that one out of my chest. I was a little afraid you'd be angrier. I didn't tell you earlier than today.
I'm not angry. I'm just surprised. You didn't look like it. I wouldn't have suspected. I suppose that's how it often is, isn't it? We all have our... what's the word Becca uses? Inner demons? But this is something personal to you. I understand why you'd rather have a few people know.
That too. Well, these past few weeks haven't been easy for you. I didn't want to add that. Not after last night.
Something passes in her face. Brief, fleeting. Disappears right before I can recognize what it is.
You okay?
Yep, no worries. I'll be fine. Look, about last night, never mind. This isn't a good time.
But it's daytime, please. Just tell them.
But don't lose sleep over this, alright? What's important is you got what you want to say out. And if you need me, I'll be here.
I should be relieved. Her words are more than reassuring to my ears. There should be comfort in hearing those alone, and knowing that I have another person to rely on if things ever go bad. But somehow, I find myself worrying more for her instead. I'll make another attempt to get the story out of her if I can. But this is a dance I know all too well. And with her, I doubt forcing her to say something will yield any results. As much as I want to imitate Ash, there's only so much I can ask that won't result in something a little over disastrous. At best, she'll stop talking to me until a week passes. At worst, I'd rather not risk it. I'd never seen her angry. Outright annoyed, maybe, and often directed at Ash, but never furious. What do they say again about happiest people when angered? It's actually the quiet ones, but yeah, happiest people as well. Besides, it'd be unfair to cut to her after our little chat.
So, food then?
She seems relieved at the first change of subject, and as if it had been simply waiting for its cue all this time, her stomach rumbles at the mention of food. Rather loudly, as a matter of fact.
Alrighty, Missy. We're going to get some chow now. Better be quick, though. Can't have your stomach starting a revolution on us here.
Don't make fun of me. I'm not that hungry. Maybe a little. I didn't think I'd end up skipping dinner last night.
And now we have one starved stomach protesting. Sorry it'll be nothing fancy, since I'm a little low on stocks. I should probably drop by the grocery store after the meeting this afternoon.
I can make a quick run for you if you want.
Nah, I've got enough to put together something nice here. Maybe. I could always improvise if we're missing an ingredient or two. It ain't like we're going for a Michelin 3-star status here. Also, didn't I say you're a guest? Is this a Filipino thing? Or just Rebecca rubbing off on you?
Self-laughter that comes from her doesn't quite reach her eyes. Neither. The answer is neither. Because if she stays idle, she'll remember.
On second thought, I might need a little help slicing up the potatoes while I prep the ham. You up for that?
What? Do you think instant noodles are all I'm about?
Judging from the state of your room, Isabella, yes.
I'll have you know I can cook a mean paella with my eyes closed. All my siblings love it.
Sure you can. Come on. I think I know what we'll do with those spare ingredients.
Despite the massive effort to keep the mood light with small chatter, cooking ends up being a mostly quiet affair. Alright, let's see what's up. Isabella saw Zachary taking an unknown medicine and concerned asked what it's for. He admitted he's suffering from a trauma ever since his parents were killed in a hate crime. Isabella could only offer him a comforting hug. To lighten the mood, the two decided to cook breakfast afterwards. Between us, the consistent clapping of the knife against the board, and the muffled noise from the television I left running, words have become surprisingly difficult to string together. Not entirely unusual. We've had moments like this before, but definitely unnerving. And how things are now, I really wish someone else would come knocking at the door. As pleasant as this, breaking the ice or keeping a conversation going has never been my forte. That has always been Isabella's or Rebecca's department. Sometimes Ash's, although most coming from him border on awkward or embarrassing. Speaking of the guy, he never did call back, and wanted to bet my entire yearly salary that he fell right back to sleep after that call.
Sorry, Bella. Could you...
Yep, I got it. The potatoes are almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case. You might want to check on them, though. Hold on! I'll be right there! Sheesh! Wait up! If you keep rapping at the door like that, you'll break it down! Ash!
Oh, good. You're awake.
Ash has already welcomed himself in when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never been really keen with the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you, this guy. All 13 of my locks he broke can attest to that. He's a good fellow, though. Maybe a tad bit standoffish at first glance, but he's trustworthy.
Don't you have work today?
I could ask the same of you. Hey, Izzy, man.
You're late. Something came up? You need to drop the Z-Man. It's getting old.
Sorry. I got caught with something at the precinct on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'd tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kinds of things. Later, maybe.
And you're here because...
What? I'm not allowed to say hello?
I doubt you're here because of that. And you're not answering my question.
Ah, my bad. Forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night.
You could have called my cell instead.
You weren't picking up. Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabella, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way.
Wait, we're going now?
He lightly claps a hand on her arm and begins ushering her out of the apartment, throwing a casual wave at me as they pass. What about the potatoes? Fuck, I cooked all this stuff for myself. Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of the idea. And sure enough, before they can even cross the threshold, she puts a firm foot down, the force alone enough to halt them both and catch the taller man off guard. It would have made for a funny picture. The way Ash almost crashes into her, and Isabella giving him an indignant pout over his shoulder. Surprise and confusion are on his face all at once, two things that rarely ever grace it if you can help it. A rare moment, even for our small group. If only I had my camera with me, dang.
What is it?
Zach cooked something.
If it's just food, I'll get you something on the way back.
But the food! It's Zach's cooking! Real delicious food that actually tastes like food. At least stay and have a bite. Please? Zach, help me here!
These two. Whenever they're in the same room, sometimes it feels like hurting a group of unruly kids, instead of talking to two mature adults. One moment they're engaged in pleasant chit-chat, and the next they're bickering over a minor issue. Frankly, if I didn't know any better and I have an overactive imagination, I'd say there's something going on. Never mind how utterly impossible that idea is. Or it might just be me reading too much into things like always. I can already hear Ash's laughter if I so much as suggest such. This, however... Cook up a feast, come on, hang out, chill out for a bit.
I don't know about you two, but I think you guys should really stay. I've already made enough food for all of us, and it'd be a waste.
Especially since we're low on ingredients, right? Alright, we boosted Isabella more, and Ashton more as well. Nice.
Why, I cooked up that special honey glazed ham you two keep on yapping about. Got some scalloped potatoes with onions and cheddar to go with it, too.
The oven timer dings. I shoot the two of them an apologetic look before sauntering over to the kitchen, mittens in hand. The sweet smell of the glaze and salty tang of melted cheese wafts through the air as soon as I open the door and take out the two trays inside. The scent immediately fills the entire room, and even with the door and windows open, the mouth-watering aroma lingers. It's appealing enough that when I put the dishes down on the counter, another starved stomach protests loudly, followed by a burst of laughter. My head snaps up at the two of them, and I can't keep back the smile at the sight they make. Isabella's clinging to the door frame for support, doubled over with breathless laughter. Ash is the more composed of the two, trying to look unconcerned, but a flush has crept up his neck and cheeks. It's clear whose stomach that came from, and Isabella's not gonna let him live this down.
You're in no place to reject an offer of free food, Frey.
I wasn't rejecting anything. Damn it, I just missed a meal, that's all.
Aw, he's flustered.
Shut it! Those guys at the precinct said it was urgent. Somebody has to be responsible for it.
Well, aren't you precious?
Right. You know, if you keep laughing like that, you'll burst.
I'm sure it won't be as bad as your stomach suddenly rumbling like a starved...
Aye, kiddos, play nice. Food's gonna get cold if we keep this up. Ash, you gonna stay?
Might as well, since Scaredy Cat's so hell-bent on staying.
Yay, food! A hearty meal. We eventually settle down after the food has been served, the jabs replaced by another round of friendly chatter, mostly about what's on the news the night before. There is, however, a conscious effort to avoid mentioning what's currently on the headlines. The dead is never a good topic to talk over food in polite company, this case in particular. The wounds are too fresh, too soon. I'd likely avoid it as well if I were in her position, and someone I personally knew passed away in a gruesome manner like that. Though perhaps the closest we got to broaching the topic is when the infamous mansion is brought up again. But even then, we are careful, Ash and I. We keep the conversation light, and avoid bringing up her late business partner. It's the least we could do.
The Wrights? Yeah, they're planning to move in soon. In fact, they already have a housewarming party planned. It's why they wanted us to rush the papers. They wanted to send the invitations out as soon as possible.
Jeez, they don't look around, do they?
Oh, now I get it.
Get what?
Remember what I told you last night about the new clients?
Vaguely? Sorry. I was a little out of it yesterday. Was it the photo shoot?
Yep, it's actually for the one you sold. Something. When you put it that way, I suppose it makes sense why my boss wants me to prioritize the couple. They can have those documents rushed at just a snap of their fingers. Then they're more influential than I initially thought. Man, I guess my boss is expecting a lot more from this project than I expected. Hope I can live up to it.
Your photographs are more than good enough, Zach. You'd probably win an international award if you let yourself. Ma'am Hana's easy to please, too. As long as you're good at following instructions.
Easier said than done. Different clients have different tastes, after all.
Still, a week? I don't think that's possible.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah. They wanted everything finished at the earliest. To be honest, it's not unheard of, but...
But it's still weird. Still weird, yeah?
Slip of the tongue. Still barely noticeable to someone who's already familiar with Ash's ways, yet in the moment, it's impossible to miss. I shoot him a curious glance, but he ignores it. Rather pointedly.
I can't exactly say it's like that, where I'm just the middleman after all. As much as I want to comment on it, I only know what's on the surface, not the in and outs. It's just that BRC and my boss are more hands-on with the legal stuff this time, despite having a separate department dedicated to it.
Maybe Mr. Wright helped with it too. They have their own legal team for this, don't they?
Well, they should have one. Especially for a big property like this.
They have, but like I said, it's off our hands. Rose and I don't handle this stuff in the office. If anything, to me, this just means I'll be able to send the rest of the funds to Papa's treatment earlier.
I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. Officially off our instant noodle diet, aren't we?
Ash, has anyone ever told you that you have an uncanny way of ruining the mood?
What? I was just saying. A few more months of stuffing your face with those, and I'm sure you'll start to look like a noodle cup. That's a pretty picture.
At least I don't live off convenience store food. Or make poor, unassuming pressure cookers explode.
Ooh, that sounds like a low blow.
What? How did you... Oh, come on, Zach.
Sorry, it just came up while we were cooking earlier.
I'm impressed, Ashton Frey. You even made it to the news.
A one-time thing. And it wasn't as big as you seem to be imagining.
Oh, sure. Let's all pretend that one time you almost set my apartment on fire didn't happen too.
Hey, that was an accident.
It's always good to have like friends like these, eh? Like a nice little close-knit group. Just chill out, have fun.
You were making a salad, Ash.
Can we please move on to a different topic?
It helps. The casual talk, the harmless teasing, the mundane stories. Interesting enough to let time pass unnoticed. By the time lunch ends, the shadows are no longer at the forefront of my mind. If it's the same for Isabella, for whatever troubles her, I could never tell. These things, the anxiety, the fear, they ain't easily seen, ain't easily forgotten after all.
You go on ahead. I've got a few things I need to ask Zach. I'll be downstairs in a minute.
Confusion briefly flashes in her eyes. She catches the keys he tosses over, but he doesn't give her an answer and waits for her to go ahead.
How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley?
You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to?
Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you. See you later, Zach. Thanks for the food.
Always has to have the last word, don't you?
You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight.
The grin is back on her face when she leaves and closes the door behind her. For a little while after we're alone, Ash goes wholly quiet, listening, waiting for her remaining footsteps in the hall to fade. Good call. The earlier amusement has gone from his face, replaced by what I can only describe as trepidation. I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting shit's about to go down at some point soon.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Is that what this is all about?
Just be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple.
Oh, what does he know? What does he know?
I'd rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, but doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his head towards the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know what he's going to ask about. He's likely taken notice of it the moment he entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. The dreams, that is.
That's when we read the letter, isn't it?
I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory.
You don't have to tell me. She already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time, when he reaches for the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. What do we got? A lot going on in the journal today. Ashton arrived to fetch Isabella hours later, but she didn't want to leave after all the food they prepared. In the end, Ashton acquiesced and stayed. The Wrights and Zach's upcoming gig, with a few topics touched during their talk over breakfast. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. What? Oh. Thought the bloody letter appeared somehow. Ermengarde Mansion, H. Wright, 11 a.m. After Ashton's warnings, they all hold different meaning now. Alright, yep, of course. We didn't... Well, we already went to Hannah's thing on her chapter, so it makes sense that we don't repeat that. Here we go. Next 2 days rush by in a blur, altogether leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up. The new unexpected acquaintances? Or friends? Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning, to reach a deadline set by an over-eager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision, knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There's nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I've grown used to. Getting to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get some footing in the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. Party here, acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture. Other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like that. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working with such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with, it leaves me no time to ponder over what happened to Isabella, or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal, but just like every other gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Ms. Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good points at all. Ms. Wright, Hannah herself, though, she ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. No ghost in this photo. Tabloids had it all wrong, that's for sure. For someone born with a silver spoon in her mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her, but here we are. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. Can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might even end up with friends with Rebecca and Isabella too, if they aren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beep quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practiced motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over my makeshift darkroom to get the last photos from the water bath. Oh shit. What is the bit that one of the photos has the ghost in it? Let's see. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before going on standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. Oh my god. It's the last one tonight for the set Ms. Wright requested. I don't usually make this a habit. Giving away stuff, that is. It's bad for business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however. She did treat me well, and was a pleasant companion all throughout the shoot. Even if she didn't ask, I would have probably given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Ms. Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. Maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in the smiles, always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes with people like her, small things like these helps. A little reminder that the world can be kind too. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on the tray holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds on the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hand fumbles for the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity, while I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools on the drawer with the other. The bulb flickers twice before its glow settles and casts a soft light on the tiny space. When I glance down, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night.
What on earth?
Oh god. Oh, shit. Her head is gone. Oh my god, that photo gives me the shivers. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the same sweet smile the good woman carried in all her previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
Common mistake to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick out a newly processed photo in the dark like I apparently did. Yeah, apparently. No way, that's you, Zach. It has happened before. Loads of times, actually. But I still can't help but feel a pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reach out for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
You've got no idea, Zach. Memory clicks, one cursory thought in the sea of many, and a short yet distinct sound sickened from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. Yeah, this is the part. There was a shadow. No. A woman. In her 20s or early 30s, maybe? But with how far gone her flesh alone has become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. The skin itself has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts. Blood dripping from every open gash and lesion in her body. Bony hands gripping his right neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me, but for Miss Wright.
Zach? Is something the matter?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all.
Yeah, just remembered something while I'm staring in the eyes of frickin' death.
Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
Yeah, just out of the way. Cover her up. Memory alone is enough to make me rich. Oh my god, here we go. Another journal. Oh. I thought I read this one right. Okay, whatever. Some of Hannah's shots from the photo shoot the day before came out distorted after Zachary developed them. He would have almost dismissed it as human error if he hadn't remembered a chilling memory from yesterday's shoot. I brushed it off then. Trick of the eye, I told myself. Or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. In October in England? Really? And, well, blaming this on the usual fatigue, an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part is far more convenient. Makes a whole lot of sense than what the small voice inside my head whispers. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul. The same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I spend staring at this photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. Someone has to know. Oh god. Who do I show the photo to? Hannah might know about it. Ash wouldn't believe me. I think I have to show the photo to Hannah. Oh god, I don't want to make a bad decision. Let's show it to Hannah. I don't have an explanation for what I saw yesterday. Yet. I've committed. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs at the back of your neck or leave you wanting to flee or hide, finding a more solid proof than a person's smudged off face on a photo is the least of my concerns. Ashton will undoubtedly give me flack for saying that, or even considering Isabella's words and those silly tales about the place. Exactly. That's why I think. The guy's a skeptic through and through. It'll take more than my account for him to even give this a single thought. However, more than his opinion, it's Ms. Wright I'm concerned about. Oh, Ms. Wright I'm concerned about, sorry, not her opinion. Surely, she must have felt something if those shows on TV are to be believed. A touch of coldness in her neck, or maybe the feeling of being watched. That's what often happens, ain't it? Outside, the sun is yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn. Good enough time to mull over how I'll go about warning her. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives out a soft click, and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
Oh shit, we're in the dark. Okay, we're good. In hindsight, this is a dumb idea. As to say, rush into a client I barely know's home first thing in the morning, with news of a ghost lady potentially haunting their newly bought property. Oh, and there's a bunch of bizarre looking pictures of Miss Hannah I've brought as proof too. So yeah, dumbest idea in the history of my dumb ideas, all things considered. Traveling to the outskirts of Anselm Village at the crack of dawn, with only my bike as company equally so. Personally, I don't think any of them would take whatever I'm going to say, well, no matter how nice or accommodating they are. Ashton himself would tell me the same thing. Odds are he'll laugh at my face. He'll laugh at it in my face for good measure, if he doesn't freak out at me first for not listening to those warnings. Still, that's a whole separate can of worms I'll open at a different time. seeing as I'm already standing at the Wright's front porch, waiting for someone to answer the door. More than anything, Ms. Wright needs to know there's a possibility nothing's safe in this place. Warnings from friends would be damned.
If only someone would answer the door sooner. Come on.
Try to ignore the looming presence their large, ornate doors give off as I press the doorbell for the 4th time. Its shrill ringing merely echoes, carried off by another warm passing breeze. The first time I came to this place, I found myself basking in the silence it offers. Now, the atmosphere is just heavy, packed with trepidation and tension. Isabella's right. It does radiate the creepy kind of vibe. And with the image from the day before constantly flashing in my mind, the unease becomes hard to ignore as each second drifts by. Not wanting to spend more time here than necessary, I ring the bell again. Another long second ticks by without anyone answering the door. If this fails, I could always go to Ash. Not really the most sensible course of action either, but waiting here ain't doing me much good. For all I know, the Wrights could be out of town. As luck would have it, just as I'm about to turn on my heel, a loud thump rises from the other side. It's followed by heavy footfalls and a string of very colorful expletives about one's parentage. Oh my god, it's Luke, isn't it? Oh, and he hates us. He's a racist as
Didn't
well.
we have that bloody annoying doorbell replaced yesterday? That Irish charge has cost me a fortune and she can't even fix this nuisance. And where the hell is your hands? If another po-faced prat is pressing that blighted bell, I swear I'll cut there.
Oh god. The door swings open, and a very irate Mr. Wright greets me. His partly rumpled appearance a clear testament to how early the hour is.
And who might you be? I don't recall asking the movers to show up this early.
I was prepared to face Ms. Wright, their butler more so, but Mr. Wright, I don't quite know what to make of him yet. I only caught sight of him yesterday as he's directing the movers, although from how exasperated he sounded then, it seemed like more yelling was done than actual giving of directions. Needless to say, I'd like to believe those instances ain't all there is to a guy. Ms. Wright, at the end of the day, did marry him. Standing before him like now, though, is a different story altogether. Despite the difference in our respective heights, he manages to make it appear like he is the one looking down at me, not the other way around. An apology instinctively forms in my mouth before anything else when he arches an eyebrow at my lack of response.
Well, that's not exactly why I'm here, Mr. Wright. Yeah?
Right, of course, the one and only. And what can I do for you this fine morning? Have I seen you somewhere before? Bloody you peasants all look the same to me.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm actually...
It doesn't matter. I don't care. I've got someplace important to be at today. Just spit out what you want or be gone. I haven't got all day.
His eyes are sharp and expecting in spite of his indifferent tone. The very impression of someone whose sharp wits has served him well throughout life. The kind you have to carefully choose your words around. Disconcerting how a simple conversation can easily seem like a ruthless form of social maneuvering. I can see why Ms. Wright would want to steer clear of it, if only for a short while. And sometimes the only way out of the game is to be honest. Let's not say... Oh, do I say I'm a friend or I'm a photographer? Shit. He'll dismiss me, he'll be angry if I say I'm a friend of Hana. Let's just go with it.
Sorry, sir. I was just...
Oh, look, it boosted. That's good.
You see, I'm a friend of Hana, and...
A friend of Hana.
Oh god, I knew it was a bad idea.
Yes, sir.
His eyebrows shoot into his hairline at my answer. Although it swiftly disappears under his dismissive gesture and a chuckle at its heels, a small frown spreads across my face before I can stop myself. What I said has nothing remotely funny in it, yet here he is, hugging an arm close to himself in a weak attempt to keep his shoulders from shaking.
Did I mispronounce something wrong, or...
No, not at all. You didn't. My wife, has never mentioned a friend like you. That's all.
What do you mean, like me?
I suppose it's a good thing she's venturing out of the usual. Vultures and savages, all of them hiding under sheep's clothing.
I don't really get it, sir, but it's not really surprising she wouldn't talk about me. We just met yesterday during the shoot.
As soon as the statement's out, the amicable air melts away almost palpably. His eyebrows crease to a frown, and his posture stiffens. With how fast the atmosphere around us changes in merely the span of a few spoken words, I'm not quite sure what I can and can't say anymore. Like handling a ticking time bomb. Is this why Ashton wants us to stay away from them? If so, part of me regrets not listening to him now.
Shoot. Who are you again?
Zachary Steele, sir. I was here yesterday from the magazine feature about your home.
Ah, that Zachary, the photographer. I remember now. Just when you think she'd be careful meddling around media types these days, she makes friends with one.
It was really just small chit-chat, sir. The usual. To keep things entertaining. The shoot did take the whole afternoon to finish.
Oh, I'm sure she was pleasantly entertained. She wouldn't be making friends with media types if she wasn't. No matter. She's her own woman. She can do what she wants so long as she doesn't do anything to ruin herself.
I'm sure Miss Wright is aware of that, sir.
That she is. But we aren't here to talk about her, are we? What is this about today? The city's a long way from here. On pushbike, no less.
Yeah, I was actually hoping to talk to her.
Of course. Here for another headline, perhaps.
Not exactly, sir. I'm off work. This is for something else.
That's what they always say. The next thing you know, your face is in the front page of every conceivable scandal sheet going all the way to the ass end of Plymouth. You media types have such an insatiable taste for gossip. It's almost amazing.
These assumptions.
There won't be any of that in an interior design magazine, sir. I can assure you that one.
Oh, you never know. Well-trained hounds have an uncanny way of sniffing out things no matter where you keep them. I do admire the passion, though. It takes a lot of energy for someone to leave bed this early, let alone knock at someone else's door at this hour. That aside, unfortunately, you're going to have to come back some other day. You see, darling wife left not a moment ago. I have not an inkling where she went, or when she'll be back, so you're better off.
Love is at the movers.
He stops speaking altogether, and the complacent expression he has collapses on itself.